evening from the south of Israel. This is Laser Brody with Emunah Hour number 229, Baruch Hashem, on our series Reaching for the Stars, Part 9. Tonight, we're going to learn how to break through bricks. Tonight's lesson is entitled Breaking Through Bricks. And B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to learn the secret of, you've seen the little 105-pound Korean karate expert, and he takes his fist and he goes through a stack of 10 cinder blocks, and how can they do that? They weigh 10 times more than he does. How can he do that? So we're going to learn the same technique that he learns to destroy those blocks. We're going to learn the same way to obliterate all the obstacles that stand in our way, whatever we want to achieve. Okay, but pay attention, and we have to apply ourselves, because it's not something that you learn on a YouTube instructional film, but something that's a lifelong work. Okay, so the secret of little 105-pound Kim Wong is that he's intensely focused on his goal. That's one thing. That's it. But there's something deeper than intense focus. It's this emunah. He's got emunah. He believes in himself. We say, well, that sounds egotistical. No, it's not. Believe in yourself. You can't properly believe in yourself unless you believe in Hashem, that you have a power above you that's all powerful, that can enable you to succeed in whatever you want to do, and beyond your wildest dreams. Maybe for us it's a wild dream, for some it's nothing, because emunah is the realm that goes above the stars. It's above nature. Okay, so this takes us, our emunah takes our belief in ourselves, that we can surpass ourselves. We can surpass our own nature. So maybe our genetics say that we can only get so high, or we can only do so much. But emunah says, no, we can do much more. Whether it's physical or whether it's emotional or professional, whatever we want to achieve. Okay, so when Kim Wong attacks his obstacle, which is now his blocks, he knows he's got to go through his blocks. And he's got a mindset. Before he even starts his focus, he believes in himself. He believes in the creator that gives the problem. I have never seen a person that goes through 10 cinder blocks that doesn't have an intense belief in Hashem, because this is something above natural. I've never seen someone like that. I've never seen an atheistic expert. Somebody could correct me, but I've never met one, never encountered one. You've seen that in addition to the focus, have to have the emunah in yourself, and the emunah that Hashem gives you the power. That's number one. Number two, the intense focus. The intense focus means that nothing else gets in his way. Nothing else matters to him. He doesn't engage. He's disciplined. And doesn't engage in peripheral affairs. He concentrates on what he needs to do. And the number three is the optimism. He knows before ahead of time he's going to succeed. He just applies what he learns, applies his training, and he succeeds. And once again, he didn't learn this skill overnight in a dream. So if we would put, now I think the physical part, what Kim Wong's, his ability has affected his body too. He's trained very much, he's worked very much. And if you take an x-ray of the bones in his hand and take a calcium with a calcium density test of the porosity, his bone porosity, you'd find his bone porosity is very dense. It's very dense because it's much more dense than normal. And this is the result of his day after day intense training. And not only intense training, is discipline, a no-nonsense diet. He doesn't eat junk food, for example, like sodium that is junk food that bleeds the body of calcium. Kim Wong knows that affects him. So if we would serve during Coca-Cola bleeds calcium, terrible. He would never drink a Coca-Cola. Kim Wong will only drink it and drink water, or spring water, or seltzer water, but he doesn't do anything. In other words, he puts aside all his bodily lust and he concentrates on his goal. Everything is goal-oriented. His mind, his body, his emunah, his physical efforts, his metaphysical efforts, everything is concentrated, because it's not natural that a person could go through a stack of 10 bricks. So without Kim Wong's perfect strike, which combines his emunah with his concentration and his optimism, his self-discipline and his training, all these things go into account. No nonsense. Okay, you wouldn't find somebody like Kim Wong. He doesn't surf the web, and he doesn't spend time on TikTok, and he's not in chat groups, and he's not bragging about himself. He doesn't waste time in that. He wastes time on, he spends all his time, devotes all his time on his goal. Because if anything went wrong, if his concentration went wrong, his diet went wrong, if he didn't believe in himself, it wasn't optimistic, then if he'd strike those blocks, he'd shatter his hand. He's not going to shatter the blocks. So he's got to have everything in sync. His mind, his body, his desire, everything's got to be in sync. And that's what we learn from Kim Wong's brick breaking. So if we want to reach our peak, we've got obstacles in the way. There's always obstacles. Can't get automatically to peak. Otherwise, it's not a peak. It's not worth anything. So if someone would climb Mount Everest, but imagine that they built a ski lift to the top of Mount Everest. It's, oh, I reached the top of Everest. You went up on a ski lift. No, nothing. But when a person has to climb and the steep climb and the cold and it's difficult to breathe at that altitude, that's the challenge. There's always a challenge to whatever peak we want to reach, whatever goal we want to have. If it's not that challenge, then I have to think twice. Something's wrong because maybe it's a trap of the evil inclination. So suppose we didn't succeed today. Okay, there's tomorrow. That's a good, we're an optimistic. I strongly suggest you go on laserbeams.com and see an article we posted this week on the optimalist. There's some difference between optimist and optimalist. An optimalist is whatever situation Hashem throws at him, he knows it's optimal because Hashem is doing everything for his best. So if Hashem gives us an obstacle from reaching our peak, Hashem knows that by breaking this obstacle, by destroying this obstacle, by working our way through this obstacle, it makes us so much stronger. And it makes the peak so much sweeter that reaching our goal is so much more worthwhile. So don't worry about anything but today, but right now. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not here yet. So we focus on today. Not only do we focus on today, we focus on this moment. We focus on this minute. Now, if you look at the people who are the big achievers in the world, they don't waste time. Not only do they waste time, they don't fret about the past. The past is gone. Rabbi Nachman says he can fast. Always he started a million new beginnings. He never fretted about the past. So even if we would do the worst mistake of the past, the worst sin, the worst mistake, make tshuva and Hashem, do our best for forgive and ask Hashem for forgiveness. Turn the page and keep going. So we have to concentrate on what are we doing right now? What do we do right now? Like for example, when now you're learning an Emunah, and I promise you that if you're now with us learning Emunah, then the Yetzer Hara, you've got all these things in the back of your mind, what I didn't do today, what I need to do tomorrow. That's the Yetzer, because the Yetzer doesn't want you listening to this lesson, doesn't want you learning to Emunah. So happy are the people that fight that through. You have to just to listen to this lesson, for me to prepare this lesson. Oh, you can't imagine. The telephones here, interruptions and attempted interruptions. I have to concentrate all the time, concentrate, and to learn this together with you. I'm sure every one of you, if I'd go to each one inside little cubbyhole here and find that everyone has their challenge, everyone has the evil inclination trying to divert their attention to something else. Okay, so we have to be attentive, we have to focus. So like any other endeavor, reaching our goal, it requires intense concentration, because not intense concentration, then we're not going to have a strong effort. And so we have to focus on what we're doing right now, because a lack of attention, it's a lack of focus, and it retards success. And not only can it retard success, it could be dangerous, because if you climb, a person is climbing a mountain, and he starts, Lucy in the sky with diamonds, he starts dreaming. Hey, the people that did button like that, they lost their focus, they stepped in a crevice, they fall into a ravine, they've broken legs, and they've lost their lives. And you see people, the Judean desert is very difficult hiking, and there have been very rare rescue missions, people that are hiking and experienced hikers, and they had falls. They ask them what happened. They didn't, for a moment, they didn't pay attention. They didn't see a cliff. They didn't, you're in a cliff. No, but the it kept on going. They took a step, and all of a sudden, there's nothing to step on. They're down, and heaven forbid, we wouldn't do that. So losing our attention, especially when you're driving, it's outright dangerous now. You see the way people drive; they have one eye, if they're lucky, on one eye on the road, but one eye on their text messaging or on their cell phone, another eye on the road, and it's downright dangerous. And some people they get alarmed what they see, and for a moment they take both eyes off the road, and that's it. That's it. So I gave up my driver's license 5 years ago Not because I'm a good driver, but don't trust all the other people, the young people. You see people that are driving with a cell phone in one hand, or even if they have the cell phone mounted, they're talking into the cell phone. They're paying attention to the road. And this is something, it is the evil inclination is so strong by diverting people from, especially in this generation where he's got all this apparatus and smartphones and websites and chat boxes and Kit Kat and TikTok and all types of things to avert people's attention, forget about their goal. Nobody ever attained a goal on a chat room or on a TikTok or an Instagram. Maybe they think they do, but this is the evil inclination. This person looking at how many likes you got, but it doesn't matter how many likes you got. That's not attaining your goal. Kim Wong, when he breaks through things, when now looks and checks the YouTube, how many likes he has. No, that's not part of the goal. Part of the goal is breaking through our obstacles, reaching the peak, and anything else that takes our attention away from that's going to make us ineffective. So we have to focus on a task in hand, and that requires concentration and dedication and goal orientation. And the mix, the concentration and the dedication and a goal orientation, this is what make champions. This is what make people successful. Doesn't matter, plug in whatever you do. It doesn't have to be karate or breaking bricks, but whatever you want to do, whether you're a teacher or whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a business person, and certainly if you're a Torah scholar, these required, it certainly requires dedication, and it certainly requires concentration, and certainly requires being oriented on a goal. That nothing is more important than what I'm doing now. Not important for now. But let's look at profile. Okay, the classic modern generation, young person without the discipline, without the dedication, that looks for path of resistance. Okay, Kim Wong never in his life, or look at that there with people that are champions in what they do, there's no such thing in their lexicon as path of least resistance, because everything's got resistance. They know that resistance. When a person is in a competitive sport, even a competitive business, there's going to be resistance, no matter what we're doing. If a person that is doing anything, even anything within in Amunah and Torah learning and teaching, it's all got resistance. And the toughest resistance in the world, that's the evil inclination. Jacob had that resistance. Every single one of our sages, Moses had that resistance. Well, King David, boy, did he have that resistance. All the way from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, one by one, all the way down. This is the Torah talks about this resistance. And people don't want to have resistance. They want an easy life. Don't bother me. So let's look at Richard. Okay, Richard, the path of least resistance. And let's go back to when Richard was in the 10th grade. Richard said to himself, why work hard? He was in his first year in high school. Why work hard? And he walked around with an MP3 in his ear, and he spent time texting with his friends, and he ate a lot of junk food. And he had an excellent math teacher. Okay, but he daydreamed his way through the class, said, no sweat, he told himself. I don't need to get a big grade in math. I'm going to go to local community college. Local community college accepts everybody anyway. And when the right time comes and I'm about to learn a profession or learn something, I'll apply myself. But now I'm going to have a good time. Go date the girls and go to the movies and do this, do that, whatever fun. So community college, after high school, he turned out to be a bigger board for Richard than high school was. So he text messaged his classes. And he says, big deal. College is not the real world. And he knows enough to pass exams and to get a degree. And as far as a term paper, copy paste. There's artificial intelligence. I put in whatever subject he needs. Copy paste. There's the term paper. And he wasn't guilty about it all because the teachers are doing the same thing. The teachers are copy and pasting also. The teachers are also, he said, why should the teacher's got a sweat on his brow? No, teacher looks at the wall clock and can't wait till it's 2 p.m. and the teacher flies out the classroom faster than anybody else. So Richard made it through community college with Google search and artificial intelligence and cutting and pasting. And that's his term papers. So he'd play all semester. And then his buddies, he had one or two buddies that learned, that really applied themselves, and he copied their review summaries. And he'd cram a few nights before final exams. So, in fact, this college didn't require any learning, only memorization. It was enough to memorize enough for the test, and he passed the test. So you say, well, come on, then have a good time, college age. I'm never going to be young again. when I hit the world of employment, then I'll start applying myself. I'll start working hard. Oh, delaying when he's going to have to work himself. So Richard finished his degree in whatever it was, modern Zulu history, what he learned, and he was not really required qualified for anything. So he had to take whatever job he could find, but he was never happy. So he roamed from job to job and always thinking that the next place of employment is going to be better. How many people know like that? Stop and think. There's a lot of people around there. And I always said, well, I don't like this place anyway, but a place I like, as soon as I find a place that I'm going to start working hard. Meanwhile, since 10th grade, and now Richard's 25. So we're talking about that at least in 10th grade, maybe it was 14, 11 years have passed, more than 10 years have passed. So he's developed a pattern of apathy, laziness, and lack of focus. So now he sees a nice young lady. Okay, goes out on a date. They decide, oh, she's nice, and he's nice, and they're nice looking, nice talking, and it doesn't take any effort to smile at the movies together and to smile at the coffee house together. So they decide to get married. Okay, so Richard's laziness, he made his young wife go crazy. So after the wedding, everything wedding was all smiles and not even all smiles, but now she's got to live together. She's got to live with a lazy guy like this, an apathetic guy like this. He can't pick up a shirt off the floor. No, she couldn't contain herself. She yelled all day long. So Richard, he's used to when things get difficult, chuck it. Who doesn't like the place of employment, chuck it, look for a new one. So after 5 months, the wife, chuck her, they got divorced. So Richard's second wife was his perfect match. Look what Hashem does. Second wife, just as procrastinating and as lethargic and as lazy as he was. So she would spend all day on Facebook, and the dishes from Sunday would still be in the sink on Wednesday night, and candy bar papers were all over the floor with the empty Coke bottles because it's candy bars and Cokes and potato chips. That was his diet. That's what she ate too. So today, Richard is already pipe dreaming that his third wife will keep a neater house. Meanwhile, his shirt's on the floor and he doesn't do anything to pick it up. And you don't even go in there. Don't want to go in there. So Richard, imagine taking a guy like Richard. I mean, apathetic that today he's selling shoes in the store and tomorrow he's doing something else and he tries driving a cab, but they've got to hustle to be a cab driver. He can't hustle. And he goes from here and goes from there and what's this? Making minimum wage, maybe minimum wage, another 50 cents or another dollar. And he's a loser. So we think Richard could break a brick in a million years. I would put him in one of Jacob Lunen's Maccabi martial arts classes, I don't think he wouldn't last. As nice as patient as Jacob is, he wouldn't last 10 minutes. Wouldn't last. So people like Rich say, what the heck with tomorrow? Let me enjoy myself now. What, this class? Oh, the coach Jacob, he demands too much. Well, we can't do that. We can't do that. So anything that doesn't cause him instant pleasure, it's not enjoyment. He throws it out the window. So let's stop and think. Let's go back to our metaphor of climbing. Climbing is tough, but there's nothing really for a person who aspirations. It's invigorating. It makes you feel it's worth the pain in your quadriceps. It's worth the pain in your glutes. It's worth all the effort. It's worth the breathing, the pain in the burn you get in the chest from deep. So breathe, because we're on the way to going higher. We're on the way to achieving our goal. And so nobody can rob us of the immense gratification that we get from climbing, and especially exerting ourselves while we're climbing, because where the pain, there's the gain. The gain doesn't come with the pain. But you have to understand that the pain is an integral part of our climb. And if we have a desire to reach the top, and no matter what we're doing, the desire will overcome the pain. Because once again, a small allusion to Kabbalah. Desire comes from ratzon. Ratzon in Kabbalah, a ceremonial scribe, a sofer, he draws an aleph. He has to put a tiny little point at the high hand of the aleph. And that indicates the sphere of Keter, which is the crown. And that's where desire comes from. Desire comes from the highest point of godliness. What do we learn from this? We learn from this one thing. Hashem says in the first principle of Emunah that Hashem alone does and will do everything. That's our first of our 13 principles. But what Hashem does everything? One thing. But Hashem doesn't limit our desire, and He doesn't take away our desire. Our free choice is that we can't have no choice, no control of the outcome, but our free choice culminates in our desire. As much desire we have, there's no limit to desire. And for example, you see, oftentimes, I saw this in special forces. You said a guy that maybe not such big Rambo types. You'd see the Rambo types in the special forces. They're the Rambo types, they'd go to the artillery and lift bombs all day long. But the guys that were, and special guys were dedicated, guys that had a lot of desire. And maybe they didn't have the most physical prowess. This is, I think, maybe the worst physique in our entire unit. But desire was off the chart. That's always what Hashem didn't give me an ability. Hashem let me have a desire. We could see that desire, anything that ever consider an achievement in my life, it's not from intellectual prowess. It's not from physical prowess. It's all from desire. And desire takes you way back. The people used to laugh. Had a difficulty in learning. I never thought I'd make it through rabbinical university and rabbinical seminary. And there were guys that were brilliant. They laughed at me. Yeah, you can't understand that. Well, it's like the tortoise and the hare. That the tortoise had a lot of desire, and the hare had a lot of arrogance. He was left behind, person's desire. It's all desire. I can't estimate. When we have desire, we invoke the highest level of godliness into our lives. That's a keter. So a person with no desire, check him out. There's no godliness. There's no godliness. And if a person, say you make somebody person that may be what they quote religious, and maybe they're born into a religious home, but they're doing the same thing at age 40 that they did at age 4. That the same intent, the same kavanah they had in their prayer and mitzvahs, but they're saying they're born in there. If they were born into a different family, they'd be a different family. Okay? If they were born into a father who was a wagoneer, they'd be behind a horse or donkey wagon. It's no effort on themselves. Anytime anything worthwhile achieved is worthwhile because of our desire and our striving for it and our concentration. So many people, back again to the path of least resistance, the leisure time, they want to enjoy themselves now, but they enjoy themselves now. There's no such true enjoyment. People look at the entertainment. Somebody misses an important opportunity because he doesn't want to miss the football game. Maybe he has an important opportunity. He's got a business prospect. If he's willing to meet with him on Sunday afternoon, no, he's got a Sunday afternoon. There's an important football game. Don't give up an important football game. Hey, wait a second. Maybe you have a chance to attain a great big business deal. It's the foreign company representative. He's flying back on Monday morning, and he can only meet you on Sunday. But no, you're not going to give up the football game, okay? Or everything. It has to be our goal. Has to be first priority, and all the desire, and we have to be willing to pay the price of a little bit of pain. So I'd say desire over and over again. I can't emphasize the importance of desire enough. Desire is really a gift from Hashem, because Hashem lets us fuel our spiritual and emotional engines, and He motivates us and gives us the power. It's really Hashem. That comes from Hashem too. It's as if Hashem gives us the ability to desire. It's like Hashem gives us a ticket to the Philharmonic, but we have to get in the car, get in the cab, and go to the Philharmonic. We can't sit in our sofa like a sofa jockey or a couch potato and listen to film. No, get down, go to the. We have to do our effort. So Hashem gives us a ticket, but we have to have the desire. And Hashem is willing to give us all the desire we want. He doesn't limit us in desire. Hashem will limit a person how much money he can make. That's right. Hashem decides. Hashem limits a person's physical abilities to an extent a person could make the best of his physical abilities by taking care of himself, taking care of herself, exercising, eating properly, sleeping properly, good habits. But there's a limit. There's a limit. If a person is 5'8", it can't be 6'5" because Hashem limited their height. And the Hashem does have limits, but there's no limit to the desire. The desire is what takes us up that allegorical mountain we're talking about. And as we get higher, we look down, the valley becomes more and more beautiful, more and more beautiful. And we see things, the higher we go, we see things that other people don't see. And the view comes breathtaking. And why do we go higher? We've taken on ourselves challenges that other people down at the bottom, don't bother. Don't want to sweat. So we see, once again, we go up and the higher we go and the sky is bluer and the weather is gorgeous. And we even long to get higher. That's the one great magical thing about climbing. You climb and long to get higher. One thing, talking in spiritual terms, Rabbi Nachman said the day that he didn't climb, that's not a day that he lived. He had to climb every day. What do you mean climb? When he talked about climbing, he meant getting closer to Hashem, going higher and higher and higher, metaphorically higher, getting closer to Hashem. So when he finally died, his physical death at age 38 of tuberculosis wasn't a physical death. Rabbi Nachman says, my soul can't go any higher in this body. My body can't stand it. It's as if the body couldn't stand the altitude anymore. So the body gave out. And Rabbi Nachman is told his soul is strong with us, like all the other tzaddikim. But then he went higher and higher and higher. For him, a day that he didn't climb, a day that he didn't grow, that wasn't a day of living. Life meant for him growth. We look at ourselves and say, where was I yesterday and where am I today? Am I higher today? And it doesn't matter what difficulties. Sometimes we think we're down. The people that I've known and people that I know, people that consider themselves my students, people that are close to me, and they say, Rabbi, I really feel down. I'm having a setback. I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If I've known this person for 10 years, that you know where you were 10 years ago? You know where you were 5 years ago? You're light years ahead of you were. But it seems as we climb, sometimes it seems we're having a setback. Because imagine going up a circular stairwell. And imagine that we're in a building and the sun is shining from the south. And as we go up the stairwell, there's a window in the south and the wall in the north. And as we go up higher, it comes to darkness. We don't see the sun. Then we turn around the stairwell and we light, and it's lighter. You go, it comes darker, and it comes even more lighter. The higher we go, the lighter it gets. But always it's dark before it's light. It's like a circular stairwell. And then when we go, we ultimately reach the higher window. And higher window, it's just the view is so much better. So as you wake up in the morning, there's two little arguing voice. One little voice says, keep going. It's a new day. Go climbing. And that is a very short, brief voice. And there's another voice that says, oh, let me sleep for another hour. Wants to slam the alarm clock. So this world is a world of free choice. And every force is coupled with that active force. Just you have that little voice that says, come on, fly out of bed. Say, thank Hashem for being alive again. And now a new day, go for it. There's a chance to go higher today. And this is what Hashem will certainly help us. We want to get closer to him today. We want to go higher. We want to get closer to our goal. We're better. They're going to be much higher and happier than yesterday. And the other voice said, no, take it easy. What do you want to sweat on your brow for? What do you need that? So we know to get higher in this world, it's the gravity. We have to overcome the gravity. Gravity pushes us down, but we have to fight against the gravity. The more we apply Amunah is spiritual. The difference between physical gravity, which pulls us down, physical gravity, Emunah, raises us up. So in order to overcome the physical gravity, we need the spiritual gravity that's stronger than the physical gravity, which means all the time you hear me speaking about how the body must be subservient to the soul. Well, the body is physical gravity, and that's why people have it's natural to have an inclination to depression, an inclination to sadness, because this world pulls a person down. But is it unnatural to be happy? And that the Torah requires us to be happy. And Rabbi Nachman says it's a big mitzvah to be happy always. Why do you say that? How can we accomplish that? People say, psychologists, the Torah, they don't want to believe in the Torah because they say this is humanly impossible because the body's being pulled down. So the psychologist says, I'll tell you what, I'll give you pills take the pills against your chemical imbalance and all this kind of uh, things that they're talking about. But spirituality, the Torah says, let the soul, make the soul overcome the body, and you go up, you go up, you go up. So to make real progress, we have to have the soul overcome the body. And I give you an example. I take a 8-year-old boy and put him into a basic karate class. And I've seen 8, 9-year-old boys, and the coach gives him a block. He says, I want you to strike that block. It's clay. So how are you going to do it? And you're going to break it. And I've often seen little boys that they break out crying. They've never hit a board. They've never broken a board. And the coach says, what's the matter? He says, I'm scared. Well, the coach says, speak it out, dude. Why are you scared? He says, because I can't do that. He says, well, I'm going to show you how to do that. Show you how to do that. Now, if the coach is an Amunah coach, he's going to tell you, that Hashem gives you the power to do that. And just look, we're going to start before we use our fist, we use our elbow, and just concentrate that you're going to go through it. So what the coach, a good coach, he's going to give him a sandalwood board, not an oak board, and he's going to go through the oak board, and then give something that they've learned to pick him up gradually, till the little boy builds confidence. And by the time the boy's 13, he's breaking bricks. And this is what you do, but they have to believe in himself and has to learn that he can do it. So we help along. This is what Hashem does with us. Hashem takes us and guides us. Hashem gives us a challenge. And if we don't cry like crybabies, oh, I can't do Hashem. Why is my life so hard? This again is the optimalist. The optimalist says, if Hashem is giving me this challenge and Hashem is my loving father, then Hashem wants me to grow higher. So how do I approach this challenge in order to grow higher? Not as in crying and complaining. No, but I'm rise to the challenge. Rise to the challenge. And this is why, to rise to the challenge, I have to have Emunah. So Emunah, I'm now bringing my spiritual gravity, which is bringing me up. And it's bringing more my spiritual gravity, stronger than the physical gravity, then to overcome the challenge. And that's really the anatomy of overcoming a challenge. So whenever we want to accomplish something important, especially in achieving one of our lifelong goals, we're going to encounter obstacles. This is part of the turf, going to encounter obstacles. And that's a stark spiritual fact that's inherent in creation, that the more our goal is critical in performing our mission on earth, then the greater the obstacle is going to be. That's exactly how it is. So many people, again, with the modern website, this comes from advertising and it comes from the Google advertising and the algorithms and quick instant gratification and path of least resistance and enjoy yourself. And somebody, they say a person has a mentality and he says he doesn't want to believe in Hashem because it's not fair, put things in my way. And look at Sir Isaac Newton, he gave us the answer that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That works in spirituality too. Sir Isaac had it right. But where there's no desire, there's not going to be any obstacles. So if you have an obstacle, every action, getting that obstacle away, an equal and opposite reaction, that the bigger the obstacle, the more the desire we're going to have to overcome it. The more desire we need to overcome it. So let's just stop and think. People, okay, they want to watch a football game? Okay. Talk about the Super Bowl, that once in a year, or talk about the Mundial. If you're European or British, okay, the Super Bowl doesn't interest you, but the Mundial does. Or if you're in South America, we would see that the UK play Argentina. That's a big game. Okay, now you're not going to pay 1,000 quid for a ticket to the Mundial to see two little league, 12-year-old teams on the field. Okay, because, and you're certainly not going to pay that money to see one team on the field. But you see the heroic champions, the greatest footballers on earth. Now the 11, the 22 best footballers on earth, they now decide who's going to be world champion is going to be. And there's going to be a tough game. It's resistance. And that people are betting on the UK and betting on Argentina. And they're delirious. And that's why they're willing to pay so much for it, because the challenge is so great. So here is something important to remember when life becomes really challenging. Tradition teaches us that whereas the individual struggle to overcome obstacles in performing somebody's mission on earth, that the Creator himself and a whole stadium full of angels are rooting for that person to succeed. Talk about the Mundial, that's nothing compared when you're trying to do something, achieve in spirituality. A person, a brand new Noahide, is trying to go against his family. His family says, "So you can't do this. You can't. What? You're not going to come to church with us. You're not going to bow down to this." And he says, "No, no." He believes in the one God. I am the Lord your God. There's nobody in between, no go between. And he stands, and there's as a whole, you can imagine a stadium full of millions of angels with the Almighty top rooting, go Tom, go Mary, go Tom, go Mary. This is an unbelievable correction of creation when a person accepts the seven Noahide mitzvahs. It's mind-boggling. How about that? Or when a person is born as an observant Jew, but always done things right. But now he says, no, this is not good anymore. This is not good anymore. I'm going to do things with intent. I'm going to pray with intent. I'm not going to think about it and look at if you see people come with their cell phones to the synagogue. No way. So I'm going to put that aside and think about Hashem. And now he wants to pray in earnest to Hashem in a way he never did before. But there's going to be big ups. And what? Esau's angel, the evil inclination, calls in the reserves. Come on, let's go. We're going to attack little Yankel in Ashdod. He wants to be a big shot, and he thinks he's going to pray with intent. No way. They're going to put, hey, Yankele, what about your child's difficulty in school? What about the electric bill? What about your upcoming wedding of your daughter? I don't have enough money to pay for it yet. What's going to be? They're going to come out and bring in every single obstacle it can. So he wants to climb, and now you want to climb. You're going to have obstacles. But while little Yankele is trying to pray, he's got a whole stadium of hundreds of thousands of angels, Shem on top, rooting for him. Rooting, well, come on, Yankele, get tough. Come on, keep going. So we see this in everyday life. You see this in everyday life. When you put a goal, that the greater obstacles there are, then we're going to try harder to get the goal. I'll give you a little example. Show you got a little toddler that's just learning to walk, and you show the toddler a lollipop. Now, the toddler, he's gonna, if you don't give him the lollipop, he wants instant gratification. Probably start and wail and say, no, come get it, you can have it. And so he's going to really try his best before he encounters a good obstacle, maybe a trip on the drug or do something, but he has great desire. So he's going to try everything he can, and he's going to try to walk harder and farther than he did before. And to finally gets that, he'll get his goal. So this is the toddler. We're not toddlers reaching lollipops anymore. We're trying to reach greater goals. So people that become disheartened, that toddler, if he falls on the way to getting a lollipop and he wants that lollipop, he's going to get back up. So people that become disheartened by an obstacle and they give up, they're not even the level of the toddler, because that means that they have no desire in the first place. So don't be discouraged by an obstacle in your way, because if it's something we really want, the obstacles, they don't bother us. Now, pain is one of life's greatest obstacles. People can't stand pain. People avoid pain, but it's integral to personal growth. The emotional pain, physical pain. And if you ever notice, that's an example I often use, how special forces soldiers, champion athletes, I so willingly endure pain. If you can imagine a boxer, an Olympic contender, sparring with his coach, and his coach notices that he drops his left guard, and the coach smacks him on the left side of the face because he dropped the guard. Well, the coach did a controlled hit. Fighter, he's going to be happy about it. It hurts. So yeah, it stings because he knows in the ring that the Soviet boxer is not going to hold back like the coach did. And he said the coach is showing him his weak points. The coach says, you see that? You got to keep that left up. Keep that left up and work on that. And you can have no professional American football player ever won a Super Bowl ring without really getting it hard. These guys that they run 40 meters in 4 seconds, and maybe they weigh 280 pounds. You know what that is in massive times velocity. And they hit a player like that, these rugby players, you get really hard. It's like run over by a truck. But that's what they do on the way to being champion. And this nobody sort of talks about special forces soldiers. They don't have obstacle-free lives. Their whole life is one obstacle after another. And I think it's they finished basic training. That's great. No, advanced infantry training, that's even harder. Oh, they finished that great. No, no, now recon training is even harder. The higher they go, the harder it is, but they don't give up. They don't give up. And that's why uh, David Dome's son, Yosef, he's one of the most elite Israeli units. And 1,000 candidates, about 1,000 candidates were chosen from from tens of thousands. And of 1,000 candidates that went through all the training, seven graduated. That's because the amount of pain they had to go through, they had to go through. But these guys, what they could do about these elite operations and rescue, it's off the charts. Can't even mention the unit, but they're the best of the best. Why are they the best of the best? Because of the pain they've endured, and it's the heart. And you can't. You see somebody. If you look at David's son Yosef, he's a mountain man. He makes Rambo look like he's malnutrition. But there's nobody more quiet. I don't know anybody more quiet and more humble and more unassuming than Yosef Dom. That's it. It's all soul. All soul. The body looks tremendous, but that body's got a candle of a soul fueling it inside of him. That's where the desire comes from. And you're talking about when he was a little tyke, they didn't think he was going to live. He was a sickly child, didn't think he was going to live. But giving an example of desire, desire, desire. And that's one of the boy. I love that boy so much. Watched him grow up, and just it's about all desire. And he never took no for an answer, and he never argued. He just quietly went for his goal. Quietly went for his goal. He came to Israel. He couldn't speak a word of Hebrew. He learned Hebrew, learned perfectly. Did what he did, everything systematically, step by step, no bravado, no nothing, and became the best of the best. And I look at this example. This is everything we're teaching. That this is an example of a wonderful person with his head in the right place, focused, and he's not the kind of guy that the other people that with the peers would go to discotheques and go drink. Not Yosef. Not Yosef. Yosef, he's got his job to do. He's got a job to do. He eats healthy and lives healthy, and he's doing wonderful things. That the contribution you make to the country, it's phenomenal. And there's talking to somebody that has gone so high at such a young age. So you could see this a living example. These are living example. People think, well, maybe Rob Laser is talking about something pie in the sky. No, it's something we could see. We see people that are really, really successful. They're really, really successful people. They're really, really humble. They're really, really dedicated. And they've got emunah. They've got a deep emunah. Okay, so let's return to our own personal obstacles, our own personal goal. Okay, we have our goal. Now, let everyone now focus on the goal. What do you want to accomplish in life? What's your dream in life? Now, let's think we already learned how to assess ourselves, take our aptitudes and take our talents and apply them to finding our mission in life. And then once we're on that mission, going up that path, and when we go up that path, we don't want to get sidetracked. We get sidetracked. Just going further up that path. And the more we prepare ourselves, and the more we assess ourselves, and we have the self-awareness, we get the self-awareness with talking to Hashem, the more the better, daily self-assessment, daily talking to Hashem. And that enables us to make advancement, to advance ourselves proficiently in whatever we're doing. Okay, so now step by step, and it's not overnight, it's not instant gratification, not overnight. We're talking about years, weeks, days, years, weeks of growth, weeks of growth. But that's one thing for longevity. Longevity. Person in his mid 70s, but okay, I'm 76. Emotionally, I feel like I'm 28. And pray for life, pray for health. What do I need health for? I need health to attain what I need to attain. I'm not near attaining what I need to attain. Hashem, there's so many people, what 1 iota of 1% of the people in the world that believe in you, really believe in you, and that your divine presence is in exile. We can't have that. We can't have that. Hashem, we have to spread a moon all over the world. We have to get people close to you. We have to do that. And I haven't scratched the surface. Hashem, that's what I need health for. I need help for to sit with my grandparents and my grandchildren on my lap and to pat their heads and poochie moochie. No, that's not it. Okay, it's nice. It's wonderful to have nice grandchildren, but that's not the goal in life. The goal in life is to have grandchildren, but to raise them in Amuna. Yes, that's part of the goal because that's part of being the whole thing. We can't go and do spread Amuna to people all over the world without our own families. Let's begin. Charity begins at home. Charity begins at home. We have to start with whatever we're doing in life to make a sanctification of Hashem's name and to spread the Amuna, show about commitment to Hashem, commitment to the goal, and going higher, getting closer to Hashem. And you could get closer to Hashem as a real estate salesman, person is being a really ethical, honest real estate salesman. That's sanctification of Hashem's name. And you can, as teaching school, upright school teacher, get closer to Shem. And certainly, it doesn't matter whatever you're doing in life. Okay, so gradually, as we strive for our goals and work toward our goals, several things start to happen. Okay, no matter, like climbing up a mountain, no matter how conditioned we are, even a person in great conditions, and they practice before going climbing the Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest, that they get up into the thin oxygen zone and breathing becomes more difficult because the grade becomes steeper, closer we reach the top. This allegoric, but it's that we find and we apply this to our goals at the same thing. And each step higher demands more energy. At lower level, it was easier to go from level to level. But as we go higher, the resistance is more. And we feel at a point that in our own bodies, we're climbing, we feel that our legs are about to give out, our lungs are about to give out. It's not easy. And maybe the innocent looking peak, when we're looking at the peak from the ground, it seemed easy, but as we climb it, it's more challenging. And the air becomes more difficult to breathe, it's thinner. And maybe we've never learned anatomy, but now we're familiar with every muscle in our legs, and we're certainly familiar with our lungs. So do we give up? No, we don't give up. We don't give up. This is reaching our goal. Reaching our goal, it's going to be the same difficulty because it's our goal is our purpose in life, it's our mission in life. And we apply everything we've learned up to now in the first 8 lessons, that all our talents and all our aptitudes, and we take a look that Hashem didn't give me an ability to write eloquently, to play basketball or to watch television. And take whatever talent you have, with talent for helping people, talent for curing people, a talent for playing music. You know what it means? That people that go into, I have a friend that's a musician, and he went to the rehab center, the Army Rehab Center, and they told him there was one soldier that really had bad PTSD. He lost a limb, and he lost the will to live, and he didn't want to talk to anybody. He turned over in bed, and his face faced the wall the whole time. When my friend went in, his family told him he likes a certain type of music, a certain singer. My friend's a good singer and a good musician, and he started playing his guitar and singing a song, and he sounded just like the particular singer that the wounded soldier he likes, and he turned around and looked at him. But before, he didn't even want to let anyone in his room. Didn't want to speak to the nurses, didn't want to speak to the physical therapist, didn't want to speak to the rehab personnel, but just by this music, and brought him back into life. So finally, the boy's parents, he called my friend. He said, so you saved our son's life. Nobody else succeeded in doing it. The doctors, okay, they patched him up, but they're trying to do their best, the nurse. But up to now, he just says it could seem, heaven forbid, just a death wish. And can imagine that because you know how to sing, you know how to play the guitar, and you save someone's life with your singing, you get that. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. So a person who's so brilliant to know that he could take his, where can I do good? Where can I do good? Go play songs to wounded soldiers, to elderly people that are in old age homes that nobody cares about. Okay, it could really enliven souls. And this has become a person like that, just give an example, becomes a partner in creation. You're partner with Hashem. Your partner, Hashem gives life. And here you are helping to give a person vitality, give a person life. Beloved brother, beloved sister, you're partner with Hashem. That is mind-boggling. And maybe you think that something is small, but it's not small. It's not small. So maybe someone, if you make a recording and someone is so depressed and they hear David Dome singing Mountain Thyme, singing an Irish ditty with the Muna words. It is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It gives a live. Wait a second. I want to live. I want to succeed. And this is what's such beautiful. This is the type of thing. I don't want to embarrass David, but this is we could do fantastic things no matter what we could do. But to person, if you can read, you go to someone who can't focus, can't read, go to a hospital and read stories to children, read stories to sick children, giving them lives, giving them a will to get better, will to live. Any doctor could tell you that a person's attitude, a person's mood directly contributes to getting healthy. So the things are give up. Don't let anything give you. Stop and think. Stop and think about what you could do on your way to the top. Okay, so you're becoming. Oh, it's so difficult. Of course, have a young lady in Texas, one of our members. Okay, teaches speech therapy. Speech therapy is something that's so difficult getting through to a child. All right, but maybe same young lady, she could go to the hospital and read to sick children. You could do whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want. And this is we just have to apply our ability to our imagination and think about what we could do. So when we help other people get better, other people feel better, Hashem is going to help us better ourselves and get closer to our goal. That's measure for measure. That's another ploy to reaching the top. Not to be concentrated only on myself, but what can I do to lift up another person? There is a spiritual law that if you pray for another person and you need the same thing, you get answered first. So if you help another person and you need the same thing, you get answered first. So don't ever be discouraged and don't let obstacles scare us. It's just more desire, and stop and think how we can help ourselves and how we can help other people also. So let's make a little summary. It's been a mouthful, what we've learned until now. So when we are climbing, when we are on the way to attaining our goal, we must focus on our objective and not get sidetracked. Have to strengthen our belief in Hashem, that Hashem gives us the ability. As we say, we've assessed ourselves. We know that we have the abilities. We have the raw material. And Hashem has the ability. Hashem gives us the ability to achieve what we need to achieve. So we can't waste time and we can't lose our focus on inconsequential endeavors. And we certainly can't let pain or obstacles discourage us. So let's remind ourselves when we're halfway up to the top and it starts getting really difficult. Well, people forget the goal. So stop right now and say, why did I start this climb in the first place? What do I want to achieve? And now you remember your objective. This evil inclination wants you to forget your objective and say it's not worth it. But it is worth it. We remember our objective, why I started in the first place, why I made this first step. And the first step was more difficult than anything. It's like the train that takes more momentum to make that train move the first 10 meters off the platform than it does once it's in full speed to go a whole 10 miles. So we ask ourselves what we started the first time. And the most important thing, we have an expression in Torah. We have an expression, we believe wisdom from the nations. We don't believe the doctrines from nations, the Torah from nations. So with that in mind, in the play Hamlet, there's a famous line where Shakespeare's characters, Polonius says to his son Laertes, he says, above all, my son, be true to yourself. Well, this is something that's very important because when a person lies to himself or to herself and tries to be someone that they're not, they're a double loser. Something we learned that you can't attain what the other person attains because the other person has a different set of attitudes and talents and aptitudes and talents. And we're not ourselves. That's a double tragedy. Not going to achieve what the other person does. And even worse, we're not going to be ourselves. So in order to achieve our goal, we have to focus on ourselves. That's not being egotistic. That means I'm plugging into my own tools, and especially my unused tools, because people don't use their tools because they're trying to want to tools other people's tools, but that's not them. That's not them. So in order to reach our top, we have to use our own tools. That's why Hashem gave us the tools. So many, many people talk to me. People talk to me about their aspirations, and they're embarrassed about their true inner aspirations. Why? They're busy doing what they think is socially acceptable, and they think, well, maybe their inner aspiration it's not popular. People are going to make fun of them. Wow, cherished brothers and sisters, that is such a tragedy because you'll never see a mountain climber who's embarrassed to climb a mountain. Your dreams and your goals and your inner aspirations, they're not only the spice of life, they're the essence of your soul. That's the fiber of your soul. And that is what gives you your dreams and your aspirations, and your mission in life, that gives you the courage and the will and the power to withstand all the obstacles that this world is throwing in our way. And that, again, is what gives us that little voice, get out of bed. Okay, that gives it, lets us fly out of bed in the morning. So what do we care other people think? When we go up after 120 years to give our accounting in the heavenly court, there's nobody with us. Well, where's all the magpies of the political correctness? They're not there. We have to answer ourselves. And that is the biggest embarrassment. That's the people, so that they think the fires of purgatory are some flame. No, the fires of purgatory are the fire. You ever felt embarrassed, really embarrassed, and your face felt flushed like it was on fire? That's the fire of purgatory. When a person knows, when a person is informed, when it sees what he or she could have done and they didn't do it. And see what if she could have accomplished, but instead they wasted their time. So what do you care about other people, what they think or not? Your happiness depends on other people. They never last because you can never please other people. And that's again, when I talk about the wise people of the nations, Henry David Thoreau said, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it because he hears the beat of a different drummer. Let him step to the music he hears, no matter how measured or far away. And that we hold by that too. And that you see that right in Kabbalah, that the person soul has its own nigun, the person's soul has its own melody, and as the dance to that own melody, and that melody will take him to his top. So the creator doesn't only dwell in the greater universe, right in our souls, because our soul is a tiny part of creator. So you're playing your own melody. What does it matter if you make a sour note or somebody turns his nose up? That means nothing. You enjoy your own melody, and enjoy, maybe yesterday or last time you played that, you made two sour notes. Say, only one sour note. You're already getting better. And that's all the creator wants you is to be a little bit better today than you were today. And above all, don't lie to yourself. Be straight with yourself. That the folks that would rather be Facebooking or watching TV, they don't understand climbers, they don't understand achievers, and don't let them discourage you. Usually these are people who discourage. That the people, the TikTokers and the Facebookers and the whatever they are. Okay, so I want you to keep in mind 5 points. 5 points, maybe write this down. And 5 points that will help you achieve your goal in life, your climb in life. Number 1, be prepared to sacrifice comforts and personal amenities on your climb. And it looks like you're sacrificing, but the goal is well worth it. You're investing in yourself. So today's sacrifice is like putting aside money, not using money that you have, spending the money you have in your pocket, but putting in a savings plan. And then one day it's going to come to a great big use, much better the use than right now. Number 2, be prepared to march courageously along a different path than your peers are going. Because if you fall in line with your peers, not going to go anywhere. Number 3, be prepared to suffer disparagement, insult, and humiliation. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Few people understand true climbers. They don't understand them. Okay. And they look at them as if they're weird or eccentric. With the guys going up in the high mountains and the snow and in the 20 below weather and the wind, and there's a chance, every chance, a chance of slipping. What is the guy crazy? They don't understand climbers. Okay. So don't worry. Climbers have the last laugh. Even if they don't reach the top, they end up on a higher level than anybody else. And four, the masses are mediocre at best. So throw out their attitudes, shun their attitudes. Okay, the conformist attitudes, the mediocre masses, they have no bearing on us. Number five, finest, pursue the truth. Don't let anyone stand between you and the truth will always lead you on the right path. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, that concludes today's lesson. Next week, we're going to begin learning how to cope with difficulties and setbacks that we invariably encounter on wherever we're trying to go. So meanwhile, have a wonderful week, a wonderful continued week, and a good weekend. And may Hashem bless you in every endeavor and help you reach your goal and achieve all your dreams in life for the very best.